Okay, I want to introduce myself. Okay, hello everybody and the audience here. I introduce myself that I'm Cindy Tran, is the chairman of LynKey. I and my group doing the blockchain platform, the project name LynKey. I want to introduce for LynKey. LynKey is a blockchain tech global platform, luxury property and smart tourism ecosystem. We have a lot of partner. We started Vietnam first and then go to globally. In Vietnam, we have a very big partner specialized in property developer such as Evelyn Group and Crystal Holidays. They are property developer and tourism services. In Vietnam, where I introduce that I'm Vietnamese, so I love Vietnam very much, and I want to introduce Vietnam to all the audience now. Vietnam is a country located in Southeast Asia, very peaceful and beautiful country. If you come to Vietnam, you can see that the landscape is wide and very fantastic. And Evelyn Group and Crystal Holiday have a lot of project across the Vietnam. The project located in on the beach, on the valley, on the mountain, and we do a five-star hotel and luxury resort. In Vietnam, we have a lot of project, and we will go to the global to develop the project in Singapore, in Australia, in Europe and America. Can I talk about LynKey? The meaning of LynKey. The LynKey is link and plus key. We mean link is linking people, linking audience, linking investor all over the world. And key mean the key open the door. I mean that open the all gate, destroy every barriers, show all problem properties and tourism, and we can use LynKey as a common currency within our ecosystem. And LynKey, that is different from another cryptocurrency they do in virtual world. LynKey we can use in the real world. It is very different and very important for this one. To talk more about our project, our developer, and I will introduce some of my team, Mr. Dinis and Mr. Hinton, can introduce more about LynKey project to our audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Cindy.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I think to kick off, let me introduce all our fantastic speakers that are in this first LynKey Talk show that is hosted here on my YouTube channel, but as well on the LynKey Talk show and a lot of other things around the world. So I would love, so Cindy introduce herself and introduce what is LynKey. We have Michael Terpin, that for people that are in blockchain world and the entrepreneur world and crypto, they know that he's one of the top 100 influencers in the areas of blockchain and crypto in the planet. It's been behind some of the most fascinating projects, but it's been always on the cutting edge, which I respect a lot because of his innovation and because of everything he's been bringing to the industry, including going and creating awareness, events, and a lot of other things that he will talk a bit. Then we have Charlie Hu, that is as well a serial entrepreneur, and right now one of the founders of Lucy Blue. Has been working with the likes of Polygon and a lot of other big platforms. He worked as well with Google in the past, and is as well one of the most engaged personalities in the metaverse and the NFT world and blockchain in Asia in the world. Then, of course, Jonathan Cohen, that is joining us, and as well is a former banker from JP Morgan to Barclays, and has been always on the bridge of looking at real estate and property and how to look at innovation, both financial innovation, both projects that can create different value. And last but not least, my partner and friend, Hilton Supra, that is the vice chairman and as well one of the directors of LynKey, and is involved in different projects, but is as well trying to create this project in a serious way. So I think as a short introduction, I don't need to repeat about LynKey. For the people listening to us worldwide, LynKey is really an ambitious project, but it's down to earth. Like Miss Cindy said, what you're trying to do here is creating a link key, so a key for property, a key for tourism, and actually a platform that actually can help people using crypto for good. We are right now in supposedly another winter of crypto. I hope not, but it's possible. But the most important thing is the projects that are really innovative will succeed and will become bigger and better. And I think like everyone here on this call that has been working in major projects worldwide, what makes the difference is the community and the product and creating utility for people listening to us or for people working in the project. So the reason I've been putting my name and as well my leadership and supporting Miss Cindy in this project and Miss Harry and David Tran and a lot of other people worldwide is because, first of all, I love as well Vietnam, but I love the idea of a platform that bridges both traveling and property, and in a very practical way. So in the end of the day, if you look at American Express Platinum, you have your card, but you never know how much points you're going to have, how you're going to use it. And it's very difficult sometimes, even if you go from country to country, to get a lot of things. Of course, it's great, but you don't have that part. And of course, if you have a point system in any of the biggest hotel groups in the world, you have always to use the points just in the group. And then if you don't use that anymore, you lose the points, you don't get any solution. So tokenizing property, and we talk about $8 billion plus of property that we are tokenizing experiences. We're not a security, we are a utility token, but we are tokenizing experiences using blockchain technology, NFTs, and the metaverse. And I think this is a very strong case study that we are very excited because on this scale, it was never done. And of course, we have a great team, but we know that there's a lot of work to do. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. How can actually create these solutions? So I would like to start with you, Michael, as the most experienced person here in terms of building and being part of some of the biggest blockchain solutions in the world. Actually, in Silicon Valley, you created as well MarketWire and Market Newswire, and of course, you've been the first PR agency of Ethereum, working with EOS. So what can we do here? First of all, how can we look at the challenge of property and traveling, which is around $6 to $7 trillion business in the world? How do you think we can actually use this? And I know that you travel a lot, so probably this is quite dear to you as
well. Yes, real estate and travel are both multi-trillion-dollar industries. And I think blockchain enables new business models. And then it's about adoption and the internet and the growth of blockchain. If you're looking at when I first got into crypto, which back then they just called Bitcoin, in early 2013, there was only about 300,000 people who were had any type of digital currency, and now it's about 300 million. And so if you look at Vitalik's dad, Dmitry Buterin, put out a chart not too long ago, a couple months back, where he tracked the development of the growth of the internet. And laid it alongside the growth of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and we are right now at about 320 million global users, right where the internet was in its growth curve in about the end of 1997. So if you go from 1997, when you had 14.4 modems, when you had you were just beginning to have very slow speed video and audio on the internet. You were years away from having YouTube, much less Airbnb. We're there right now in the blockchain. And so if you track that forward, that means within 20 years, if not sooner, everybody who has internet will have blockchain. And it'll be very easy to use as opposed to, when I first got in, it wasn't even easy to be able to buy Bitcoin. You had to go and, send something to Japan, to Mt. Gox, the only exchange, hope you got something back. Or you had to go and trade it for somebody on Bitcoin Talk and hope they sent it back. And obviously now you've got hundreds of exchanges, including decentralized exchanges. It's a much easier experience, but it's going to get even easier as wallets and hardware devices just integrate. I mean, think in 5 years when it'll be as easy to use all sorts of cross-chain cryptocurrency transactions as it is today. I remember in 1995 having an executive from a U.S. television network, NBC, tell me NBC will never be on the internet because my mom is not going to go and install a second phone line. She's not going to, want to be woken up in the middle of the night with this modem screaming at her. Well, today it's like, here, mom, have an iPad and watch Netflix. The interface has changed, the speed has changed. And the same thing is going to happen with blockchain applications. With that said, I remember when Airbnb first came out, and I was like going, who wants to sleep on somebody's floor? Because that's really where the name came from. You're supposed to go and take an air mattress and make it into make your little tiny apartment into a bed and breakfast. And the thing that really made it grow was that people actually were doing that because they were out of rooms during Obama's inauguration. And I actually, with my prior company, Social Radius, we were involved with doing the Will I Am, Yes We Can video. So we got invited to the inauguration, and boy, it was hard finding something. We didn't stay on anybody's air mattress, but we did use the service to or a competing service, VRBO, I think it was, to go in and stay in someone's room. And an industry was born that now is larger than the entire market cap of Marriott. So I think that blockchain solutions to problems like, how do you go and curate experiences? How do you go in and easily navigate between the markets of, luxury experience? I mean, look, it's still very difficult to be able to have choices, even in sort of the vacation rental market or the timeshare market. There's a lot of friction, and with LynKey, they have the potential. We have the potential to really go and solve a lot of that friction, and actually have assets that can be deployed across multiple cities, and not having to have the middleman take large chunks of the transaction. VRBO is now owned by Expedia. My wife actually ran a number of vacation rental homes in the early days, and it was a nice, profitable business until all of a sudden got acquired by Expedia. And instead of being able to go and pay for your position where you'd be able to get a lot of business, they said, oh, no, we're going to go put our hotels first. And so the nice thing about blockchain is you don't have the situation where all of a sudden, a blockchain gets sold to another blockchain and somebody just wipes out the business model.
Yeah, I think you touched, and it's about the utility, like you said. I think the technology is going very fast, and I think 320 million users of somehow blockchain solutions is a massive number, but it's going to, I think, skyrocket very easily. So, Jonathan, you've been working with major global banks, and from your case, you've been coming from very institutional investments of multi-billion dollars and hundreds of millions of dollars. And right now we're looking at innovations that coming out of blockchain and solutions like this. So how do you see these opportunities, both for property groups, for investors, and for people that are looking at this from more an investment perspective, especially when it comes to travel and property?
So my experience coming from over 20 years in banking for the large US British banks, and I'm currently involved in private equity in real estate and hospitality, and coming myself from the South Pacific, from Tahiti, which is 100% linked to tourism. I think this LynKey is a fantastic product or experience, and I do hope that it's going to be a great success, because I can see this model to replicate across the whole planet, not just in the tourism space, where at the end of the day it provides liquidity. Because I am myself a client of Marriott timeshare for over 7 years, and the process is very cumbersome, very expensive. There's not a lot of flexibility, whereby LynKey providing, again, the blockchain, the security aspect, not token, I'm talking security about the system, with an exchange, I think is fantastic, because it brings more flexibility to an asset which by definition is illiquid, if we're talking about real estate hospitality. And the fact that it would be easily tradable brings diversification. And I think for a group like Everland Group, it's got a huge ecosystem across Vietnam and across Southeast Asia, I think as a LynKey holder of the token, it brings me even more opportunities to spend this token. So I think to bring this flexibility with technology, the fact that you can have it on a wallet and not have tons of papers with you, I think will definitely create a lot of appetite and a bright future to this product. And I think today, with the new generations out there, like Michael was saying, I think 320 million is peanuts. That's the size of the population of Europe or the US. This will definitely go into billions in the next few years. And with this COVID virus, the past 2 years, this has boosted the use of technology. And we can clearly see that if you look at financial markets, MasterCard, Visa, Amex, Visa, they're taking so many fees here. At the end of the day, you can really streamline the the sector and make it more reachable to a global target audience. So I'm a great support of technology, blockchain into this domain, and I look forward to seeing the performance of this product in the next 6 to 12 months.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. So we are in the beginning. So for people listening to us, and thank you for everyone. I think we have 3,400 people just in the YouTube alone listening to us. So I want to thank everyone. I know that there's a lot of questions about this. We only started 3 months ago, so be patient. Miss Cindy, myself, and everyone in the team is working 24/7, but we have a lot of work to do. And as you see here, what we want is as well to discuss this and do this right. So Charlie, you've been working with some of the biggest blockchain protocols, and you've been working as well with big corporations like Google and so forth. And you are as well a kind of a study in the US and Europe and Chinese. So you are a citizen of the world, but you've been as well directly and indirect. And you are as well on the verge of the NFT revolution, being a metaverse geek. So how can we, the property and travel industry, use the NFTs and especially the metaverse solutions that actually are going to be quite important when we have the travel experience, when we have property experiences?
No, thank you, Dinis. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the introduction. Great honor to be here today and actually give a chance to share our experience and insights from the Web3 world. So my name is Charlie. I'm the founder of Lucy Blue Ventures. We've been investing over around 150 projects in the Web3 space. I call myself the Web3 degen in a way. Most of my career is in the crypto space. So compared to maybe like Mr. Michael and Cindy, maybe Dinis, you as well, which let's say little fraction of your career just joined the crypto space, right? Like before that, you had a lot of history on the other area. Most of my career actually started in crypto. Before in crypto, I have 2 years of startup experience, and pretty much that's about it. So I get to know Bitcoin in 2013 and start to actually get hands-on involved in Ethereum in 2015. Investing Polkadot in 2017 and start to actually hands-on building Web3 ecosystem in Asia, especially for Polkadot. And then in 2021, I helped a bit on Tezos and later on Polygon. By working with multiple ecosystem, I realized, there's a fundamental different paradigm shift in many adoption layers, right? So in 2020, we had a huge adoption and paradigm shift from the traditional finance to the DeFi, right? The decentralized finance. We see adoption really happening in the blockchain space, especially in the Ethereum side. And then due to the gas fee issues, right, and a lot of the adoptions moving to some kind of a high performance chain, including Polygon, Tezos, and BSC and all the other layer ones or layer twos. And last year has been absolutely phenomenal. We see so many innovation happening in the space, right? Non-fungible token NFTs, GameFi, and SocialFi, and also Metaverse. And there has been a lot of interesting innovation coming up in the space with real product launching. And we see kind of mass adoption people and audience actually engaging the industry, right? Dinis, you mentioned about real estate and the Metaverse. I think looking at the situation, right? I'm actually in the COVID. We are actually suffering kind of in the COVID situation, doing things online. I wish we can meet each other in person more easily, which is difficult because I'm in the quarantine hotel, as I said, right? I'm gonna stuck in this quarantine hotel for a couple of weeks because I went over to Singapore and now get back to China, right? We are living in a little bit crazy period of time in the human society. That a lot of things are happening online, and we all have to stay virtual world. So we spend more time in the virtual world than the physical world, while time kind of trying to have a high quality life. Our digital life means a lot for us, for every single people in the world, right? And then the whole metaverse lens, the whole metaverse environment, not just for working, but for entertainment, for all the other things, for fun as well, for social, it plays a major role in the society. So imagine you have a lot of interesting, social proofs, right? Kind of interesting social capital built in the metaverse, right? You will feel like, okay, since you're spending majority of the time in the metaverse field, your digital twin of yourself, your data, your on-chain identity, your the digital ownership of certain assets, captured by the NFT, which make it immutable, which make it traceable and so on, actually means a lot for a lot of people now. For the Generation C or the people who actually born raised after 19, even after 2000, right? A lot of people who are in the new generation, the youngsters, treat those things more importantly than the physical things they actually own, right? I think we are literally entering into a very interesting metaverse era. So people talk about metaverse this, metaverse that. In my opinion, metaverse is not a technology. Metaverse is not a tool. Metaverse is an era, just like internet. When people talk before we talk about internet, we talk about TCP/IP, we talk about IPv6, IPv4, right? Other, how to say the telecom technology, all that. Now we treat all these things as default. We cannot live without a Wi-Fi. We can't live without cell phone, all that, right? Later down the road, the metaverse with real estate, other innovation will be as default as well. People are gonna still live in the physical space, but their virtual space, how they interact with others virtually in the metaverse, will be actually very important for a lot of people in the society. It will grow gradually, right? People will be like, yeah, why you need that, right? What does this digital space plays a role in my life? It doesn't mean a thing for me. For people who don't care about this, they probably think it that way. But gradually, the network effect will build up. It's just like what happened in Facebook and all the other early stage. People don't join this platform, and gradually, all the cool kids, all the cool people in the parties, they kind of doing that. With NFT like CryptoPunks, border apes and all that, right? We are noticing that from 2020, and we'll continue to see that happening in 2022. So I'm pretty excited to see LinkedIn actually moving to this trend. And I think Vietnam is a very important country in the crypto space, with all the gaming metaverse actually happening. From Lucid Blue side, we have been investing over like 100 projects, right? Around 20 projects have direct correlation with Vietnamese community and the ecosystem. So I think that's definitely very interesting to explore more, to see how in the metaverse real estate can be evolved and can get adopted and be used by the the community and also the people from all over the world. Yeah.
Thank you, Charlie. And I think this is very powerful points that I think is going to be a maturity of the experience, especially AR experiences and digital twin experiences that I think is going to be key. And I think, of course, the NFT explosion and all the crypto tokens will be key for creating these ecosystems and manage these ecosystems. So, Hilton, as someone that has been managing in previously a net fund of $2.5 billion, you've been as well involved with a lot of financial organizations, but as well with a lot of startups and regulators. So what do you think needs to be done to make sure that the organizations, especially on property and in tourism, that are getting into blockchain, can feel confident and that can actually feel empowered by the solutions that projects like LynKey and others can bring to the table, but as well create like a utility that is key? You are on mute.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for that. It's a very interesting question. Thinking about the traditional world and then the digital approach to that, to the physical world through the digital component. A lot of digital solutions tend to just ape and increase the processing power and reduce the friction costs of actual transactions or the processes involved. And as some of us have mentioned before, the cost and the time of actually acquiring an asset or acquiring the right to use an asset is a very lengthy process, like buying a house or renting a property, or even sometimes license or lease to use a property. These all take a lot of time and energy, and it involves always intermediaries and intermediaries that create that area of trust. And that system has somehow been adopted by everybody else. If you take a completely digital process, which apes this physical process, you are reducing the friction costs. You sometimes removing the intermediary from the middle of that, but you're still aping the system. Okay, so just moving from paper to digital. Okay, and this is how regulators look. They look at the digital world. They say, okay, the digital world is going to just replace our normal modus operandi, which is unfortunately slows the adoption of digital solutions to solve these particular problems. And there's something that Charlie said before, is that the majority of the young people who were born after 1980 and the millennials and then the Gen Zs, et cetera. I mean, if you ask them, it's like more than 75% aren't actually buying assets. They're not buying houses or cars or even getting a driver's license. They are basically buying experiences and they're buying utility or the license to use things. So we have to adopt processes that make it easy for people to enjoy and have access to those experiences without the legacy systems that we have in the past. And regulators, in my experience, are frightened. And I had a conversation today with a big FX firm, who, if we do the whole KYC and AML process for bringing on board companies onto our platforms, certify who they are, certify that they've got the right, licenses to operate as brokers or whatever they have in the regulatory environment. We digitize that. And then suddenly we say, okay, we want to deal in the world. And then the regulators go, no, you can't. No, this is wrong. This is bad. No. But in fact, we're actually doing things more transparently, more trustfully because of that transparency, and therefore should be adopted by the regulators. They should be delighted that we're doing this. There's a lot of pushback. So I've been dealing with the regulators in Gibraltar, Malta, UK, in terms of the sandboxes that were set up in the UK, dealing with Gibraltar with the DLT regulations. We've been dealing with Singapore in terms of the regulations they put in place there. And I must admit that there's certain jurisdictions that have really grasped the nettle. Gibraltar was a leading, we actually embraced DLT regulations into law within Gibraltar. And that's actually a slow process of adoption by the international community because of the size of Gibraltar, etc. Then you've got Singapore that's making massive strides in that direction. And most regulators are doing some amazing things, but it's very slow. It tends to be a cut and paste of other people's regulations. But until such time as they realize that technology can be an enabler rather than actually this big scary animal of the digital world, we won't actually move forward very, very quickly.
Thank you, Hilton. Michael, I know that you need to leave in a while. So I think just as one of the last probably questions for you, and as well might be more a bit of your views. So I know you've been in a lot of the waves of the blockchain industry, even before that in Silicon Valley changed, and even Silicon Valley had their own doom, the dot-com boom as well. So you passed through all of this. So for people listening to us, and especially the ones that are looking for the credibility that you bring with your experience, maturity, but as well, what I love about your work is that you never try to be just in the sake of being things, but the sake of building a relationship. So how would you see the opportunities that I hear, but as well the challenges, and how can we work on that? I don't know if you lose you or not, but that's my questions. Michael, are you there? I think we lost him. Yeah, we lost him for now. So I'll go to Miss Cindy because you are building this. So Miss Cindy, one of the things that I want to ask is, of course, being my partner, one thing is you as my partner in LynKey, but as well, you are part of a very big group that is a public company in Vietnam. And I know that Vietnam is a wonderful country, but there is a lot of challenge. So for people listening to us that I want to know, for instance, what Vietnam is bringing to the table, and as well what Crystal Holidays and Everland Group brings to the table, can you tell us a bit about, first of all, the fantastic assets that the group has, fantastic 5-star and 6-star resorts, and all the Crystal Holidays facilities, but as well how people can actually understand better how to use these resources with LynKey?
Okay, thank you for your introduction again. Let me introduce more about LynKey. LynKey is an utility token. You can use LynKey. You can use LYNK token in the ecosystem. The ecosystem, including you can say that the smart ecosystem for tourism and property, including hotel, including hotel room, including facility for tourists, including F&B and every service for entertainment, literature, and also property. We in our partner in Vietnam, Everland Group and Crystal Holidays, a big company, to develop property, and property we invest for 5-star hotel and the apartment, and the luxury resort and hotel located in very nice place and attractive place in Vietnam. And you see that Vietnam is new in the new economy in the world. Vietnam is also how can I say, is very potential for investor in the world, and even for tourism in Vietnam. You know that Vietnam is very peaceful. You come to Vietnam, you can see that how exotic Vietnam is, and you see that Vietnam is also the new destination for tourists all over the world. The new destination that at least one time in your life you should come to Vietnam and enjoy the holidays here, and you can believe that, trust on us that we develop all property and project very luxury and all services. You can say that all in one ecosystem, LynKey.
Thank you. So I think that is, I think for people listening to us, I think you understand what is here on the table. So Jonathan, coming back to you, and in terms of looking at your experience in property. So you have experience in timeshare yourself, buying a timeshare experience, and you have as well experience in helping set up some very substantial investments in property, real estate, and as well in tourism. And you're managing as well a small hotel in Tahiti. In IT, sorry. So can you just give us a bit of an overview from both the financial side and as your side as an entrepreneur, how you've been seeing these opportunities? And for people listening to us, I think to visualize how this can work, because you've been on the two sides of the barricade, both as a user and both as a financer and both as well as an entrepreneur.
I think coming back, thank you, Dinis, for the question. Coming back to what Charlie and Hilton were saying, now with all this new technology, and in the current environment with COVID, like Charlie was saying, a lot of people, especially the new generation, when I look at my nephew, which is turning 18 next month, and how they behave, it's a very different world. And the fact that you can create this LynKey token facilitates the experience of the traveler. Because when you go, I've been to Vietnam, I think it's a fantastic country, I need to go back, is that when you go to countries where it's difficult to exchange money, to have local currency, for example, the fees are astronomical. And I'm not talking about Vietnam, I'm talking about outside the developed world. To have the opportunity to buy a token digitally with your phone and be able to check into an hotel and buy all the experiences on cruise holidays simplifies people's life heavily. Because when it comes to just pure payment, it can quickly become a nightmare. Everybody that I know in the world, and I was in private banking for many years, even billionaires have problem with their cards. Okay? So you can imagine what happens in Vietnam and other places. So to have access to LynKey, I think it's fantastic from a funding point of view as well. If you look at real estate projects, there's the traditional way of financing projects. Here, potentially in the future, there's going to be improvement to LynKey. Obviously, we need to be careful with the regulations because the regulations are not up to speed. Technology is going to be challenging the traditional regulations, but definitely there could be a link to use funding using this kind of vehicle to fund those projects. So I think there's a nice merger of the digital world and the real world. Now is a question of like making sure the real case study is executed properly, and then I can see the usage of this technology to so many different parts. And the tourism real estate industry is massive globally, but this can apply to other aspects because we are broadening the topic to tokenization of assets, of everything, all right? But again, we just need to make sure that here LynKey is a utility token, not a security token, because there's a lot of caveats that are triggered by regulations, and depends in which part of the world we're operating as well. Who are the investors? If that's from the US, from the moment you take US money, you become a security. So it becomes much more difficult. So I think it's a great revolution, to be honest. And I think the ones who are really going to have a big problem to solve are going to be the banks. Because again, LynKey, the minimum is what, 50 US dollar? But if you have half of the population of Vietnam who puts $50, you can imagine the amount of capital.
Yeah.
So you give more power to the retail investor, and which is something very extraordinary that without technology, the little investor will never be able to participate because the minimums are usually reserved for high ultra net worth with very high minimums. So I think it's a fantastic use case. So I'm very bullish on LynKey, and this is not just to Vietnam. If it works, it could work anywhere in the world.
No, completely, and that is a very good
And
point.
one thing for
Yeah,
one thing for link token is we usually have a sentence is with a small smartphone we can hold the world. Very convenient, very comfortable, and very fast, right? You can use globally.
completely, and I think will be a great way as well because, for instance, if I'm booking holidays in Vietnam, I want to know the place where I'm going to stay, and I think we work in some solutions in Metaverse and the 3D AR exposures that we're going to be announcing shortly. Miss Cindy and our team, we're working all on that, and actually got excited. So, Charlie, as someone that has been investing in a lot of companies and as well working with Polygon and Tezos and helping a lot of these companies make the vision real. So how can we, first of all, solve the problems of scale, and second, create user experiences that actually can facilitate what Jonathan said, what Miss Cindy said, and what Hilton said?
So the question is scale. Scalability on the technical layer has been really a research problem. And kind of we're seeing a few solutions like ZK rollups and a few other layer 2 solutions are going up. In terms of business scale, I think it's really about choosing the right partner to work with, right? I think blockchain ecosystem has to be from day one global driven. Even with that, it needs to be very grassroots. Finding the right mindset of people to work with, and sharing the right narrative. I think it's not difficult once you build interesting consensus across different, community base. Just like what Bitcoin did in in the early stage, when people were discussing and re-challenging and actually rediscussing a lot of things that had people thinking for kind of a default for thousands of years, then realize, okay, there's probably a new way to do that. You just don't know what is possible. So for Metaverse, which actually is not necessarily a new concept anymore because it has been heavily discussed in the gaming world, and now actually become being more and more mainstream. It's not just some gaming nerds talk about the Ready Player One stuff. We're talking about the real society, right? Adopting that. So the real scalings come from when a lot of the people from different backgrounds actually talking about same stuff with consensus. So I think with that kind of discussion going on in daily basis, now everybody's talking about NFT in daily basis, right? People with restaurant backgrounds, people with real estate backgrounds, people with movie and music, all the other backgrounds are using this technology as a tool to do things, with their own resources and from their own perspective, right? I think that's where the real scaling come from, right? The real scaling, not just for the sake of traffic and eyeballs, which actually is important, but probably does just eyeballs, right? That happens in many industries that there's no real adoption, no real usage, but just eyeballs. For guys like us, at least for me, I care about what exactly the real data, like how many things are actually being, let's say, how many assets has been really put on blockchain, how many things have been traded, right? What's the trading volume? How many real active users and databases in the platform? Like how many real users and things like that, right? Those are the real adoption, right? For that, I think metaverse, all that, even NFT is still kind of early stage, but we see some real momentum going already. 2021 has been absolutely a crazy year. I think the industry in NFT, at least from many angles, 100x, right? Like 100x from the beginning of this year till the last day of that last year, 100x on daily active users, 100x on number of projects built on blockchain with NFTs, 100x on just traffic, the attention span on that, right? And moving forward, so what's next? I think it's really just getting more innovative stuff going, right? I think what Jonathan was talking about, the financing part of the hotel and the real estate, and yeah, I think this first of all is a big topic, right? It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. How does this has has synergy with blockchain? We'll see. We talk about FTO, we talk about many other technical stuff, right? But at the end of the day, it's about creating meaningful experience. Then back to the second question, you're asking experience. Experience is an important topic, right? If we talk about mobile, then it's user experience, how you interact with the digital wallet, digital interface, right, with your platform. Then it's more like on the product layer of each experience, right?
Mhm.
But I think the interesting of metaverse is it emphasized immersiveness. So it's not necessarily just a new gimmick of toy of now somehow become 2x cooler. It's not. It's completely a paradigm shift with a very entire completely immersive feeling of things. You feel like okay, whatever with VR, AR, and whatever technology as an interface, but with the new content, you have a new identity. You have a new completely layer of experience in this digital world, right? And that asset on the digital world actually worth quite something. And if you invest early and so on, the economic layer, the incentive layer, the experience layer is fundamentally shifted and actually have a high level. So we are seeing that happening. Although people can argue, a lot of the experience is still quite bad. This thing doesn't work, VR doesn't work, make people busy. We just need more time. Wait, well, what this will come. 20 years ago, nobody would believe in that. We can literally use gather time to do online exhibition. It's actually happening in the metaverse field, right? We are seeing Justin Bieber doing a virtual, live concert, right? Although people can argue this experience is not as good as the physical world, but come on, it has access to millions of users from all over the world. People don't have to travel to certain places, and because of COVID, you can't travel. So good luck with that. We have to actually do with the metaverse version. So I think every time when there's some kind of quote unquote war timing happening, there's some new innovation happening. Right? Maybe that's not the right example to say that. It's not. We're not entering a war, but we are having a war with the COVID disease. Right? This whole global society is fighting for that with vaccination, with quarantine, with social distancing. But we need to still be functional. So a lot of those activities or time will be spent more on the metaverse. It's happening for real, and it's not going to go away because I don't think COVID is going anywhere soon. We're going to be here for at least another 5 years. And after that 5 years, the society is changing, and it will change. It's already changing, by the way. It will be very changed 5 years later when we realize, okay, this is actually good. That's the future of working. That's the future of entertainment. It's the future of real estate. It works fine. You know, it's not such a big deal. Well, it's not as that much crazy as people thought. Well, that's kind of my 2 cents of metaverse. It sounds kind of very gimmick or toy style right now. It is, but it's kind of gradually changing people's life.
Now, it's making a big difference, and I think specialty experiences are the critical element. So, Hilton, I know that you are personally involved on this, of course, as one of the co-founders and working with our team, with Miss Cindy and Mr. Henry and all the team. But you have as well a lot of experience working with high-profile both investments and actually luxury brands, and you are a collector of cars, and you have some crazy experience in a good way. So can you tell us some of the experience, especially in luxury, because of course, Miss Cindy is behind a group that has some of the most beautiful places in Vietnam. And I urge people to go to LynKey.com and check some of the properties that you're going to be tokenizing and creating experiences. But my question for you, Hilton, is practically, like Charlie said, these experiences are going to be critical. And because we are doing it anyway. If you go to any holidays, you spend probably a week researching. And you get excited to see the pictures, to see the videos. And sometimes if the videos are not good, you might complain and fire the hotel or create a big problem. So I think this kind of VR experience, or AR, I would say more AR experience, are going to be critical. And this will be the active metaverse. It's not just the VR, it's all the experience that come. So how do you see this kind of interaction between the real experience and the virtual experience that we're going to have with the NFTs? And if you could explain how we want to take forward with the timeshare experiences and as well with in this case of the NFTs and as well with the metaverse.
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about timeshare, just as an example, I mean, it started back in the 60s. Basically, this was people who had disposable income, were basically able to buy in the first stage a particular week in a particular apartment or villa, okay, for the next 25 years, which is quite a constraining proposition. Economically, it worked out very well. So you basically knew for the next 25 years, you'll be going between September and October to this particular villa for the next 25 years. And then it shifted slightly where people would say, look, I want to change that for another resort or another week or whatever. I need some flexibility. And it became an exchange mechanism. RCI was one of the examples of that, which opened up the opportunity set to many middle-class families who had that disposable income to pre-buy their holidays, okay? But the friction costs of that are relatively high and was low liquidity, okay? Then a lot of them moved from this like fixed sort of ownership contract to what is called a rewards-based system or a points-based system, like the Marriott system, like Disney, for example. They basically said your number of points bought you this type of experience in this type of resort, and you could exchange those points to go to another resort somewhere else. So you created more liquidity, you created more of an experience. Opportunity set was widened, and that business model has become the adopted model. I mean, the timeshare market is 13. Back in 2018, if I'm corrected, was like 13 or 14 billion in size, and it's expected to grow at a great rate of about 8% a year to around 22 billion in 2024. This is a huge market share. That growth is driven purely because of the way in which the system has the timeshare shifted from a fixed to a more flexible model. what we're doing at LYNK is exactly the same. We've taken that points-based system, we are now tokenizing it, and we're packaging it as experiences. We all know that people like experiences, and that you can use the token in a frictionless way, frictional cost, but maybe buy these experiences at a discount, because it's just like going to the shop, a V shop or VR mall, and go and see your next holiday put in front of you. But people want to buy experiences, they want flexibility. And what's very interesting about the metaverse is obviously there's this live experience that we're going through, but also the research process of actually going through and finding with a digital twin of a resort, which we're going to be doing in LynKey, the ability to go and see, okay, this apartment is where I want it. These are the number of LynKey tokens I need to put aside in order to buy that experience with that view on the second floor with XYZ, and I can actually have a virtual experience of that whole resort. I can see the layout, and I can see how safe it is for my children, and et cetera, et cetera. That's my research. I then do the experience. I'm now interacting with that experience using my mobile phone, interacting with there's the VR experience of going through the holidays. Okay, and then what happens? I have a digital record of those experiences that I can share with my family and my friends. And there's a new way of shared experience. You can do it live, or you can do it as some form of interaction and a recording of that. And remember, it's going to be my data, because I'm buying that experience. I own that experience. That is mine. Okay, and the world is moving towards experiences rather than buying assets. This is what makes me so excited about LynKey. Of course, Dinis, you mentioned about the issues to do with regulations. At the end of the day, we went through lots of head scratching to look at this, and we said, okay, let's keep it simple. Let's take a simple utility token that gives people real utility backed by real spending power. They can buy and spend it within the ecosystem, okay, in a frictionless way. And then what can they do? They can use that to buy experiences. Those experiences are in NFTs. That experience is my experience. Okay, it's unique to me. And from a regulatory perspective, that is perfect. Okay, now everybody talks about fractionalization and then benefiting from investing and getting pooled returns. Yeah, okay, the regulators are challenged by this because it comes under, pooling systems, or comes under security because you're getting a return, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, okay, we will get there. But let's get this one right. Let's keep it simple. Utility token, experiences. We don't even have to say to the user at the end of the day, it's a token. It's your currency within the ecosystem. The NFT experience is not on blockchain. It's your package holiday that you own, and it's your experience. That's it. Keep it simple.
Yeah, and I think this is not different from Marriott reward experience, American Express point system, Shangri-La point system, anything else. And I think all these groups can actually work with us. So, Miss Cindy, you have of course been managing a lot of the experiences in both Crystal Holidays and Everland. Can you tell us some of the experiences that are really exceptional? And I was in some of them, and I was privileged to see the city that has been created in Van Don, and there's a lot of fantastic places. But I know as well that Vietnam has a huge dynamic culture of close to 100 million people, young population, but as well a very hospitality. But your group is as well creating fantastic experiences. So I know that you are very digital savvy as well, because we're working in games, we're working in metaverse experience, but some of the ideas from you that you actually been working a lot of things with the Crystal Holidays in particular, and for the people that have been already using the Crystal Holidays solutions.
Crystal Holidays, I must say that this is the thing I want to say. I want to share that I know time sharing a long time ago. And you know that time sharing is very traditional. The way to do very traditional, very slowly, and take a high cost. So we can say that, we must say that LynKey project will be the revolution of first time sharing. It makes everything easier, make everything comfortable. And you can see that it can bring to the customer, the traveler, lovely holidays, to make them have a real experience that they never forget have a good memory, never forget in their life. And as a Crystal Holiday, you know that the customer is are the best purpose. We move forward everything to the customer. If the customer satisfied our service, we're happy, right? So for the revolution, LynKey make the time sharing, help the customer have a lovely journey and never forget. And a lot of customer in Vietnam enjoy a Crystal Holiday as we have a network of hotel resort in Vietnam and in all over the world. 5-star hotel. We have a lot, very huge network is more than 1,000 hotel and resort in Vietnam and more than 100,000 hotel and resort all over the world in almost 100 countries in the world, so that the community to use LYNK. You can have experience all over the world. You can book a hotel. You can have to buy the voucher, buy time sharing, to buy everything, and enjoy the journey, enjoy the holiday within our ecosystem.
Completely. So I was just want to tell our audience that Charlie had to leave. He actually is in quarantine because of COVID. So he's not feeling very well, so he had to leave. And the same with Michael Terpin. But we are here very strong. So I think, like Miss Cindy said, just for the audience, listen to us. I know that there's still some thousands of people around the world. So I think what Miss Cindy said, and I think if you go to our website, linky.com, and check the things, there's amazing properties there. Very important thing. We don't own that. That is owned by Everland.
That's a few projects in more than 100 projects. We will look forward, right? Yeah, that's
exactly.
a few.
More than 100 projects.
Yeah. And we go to the world. And you know that firstly after COVID virus, we are waiting for the customer come to Vietnam. Come to Vietnam, enjoy Crystal holidays first, and after COVID, everything finished, everything recover, we can go to all over the world to enjoy the Crystal holiday services. I think so, and you will happy for this.
No, completely. So I think Miss Cindy, and I think for all the four of you here, I know that at a certain point you're going to ask questions. I know that there's a lot of questions about the product, about what you're trying to do. I think at this stage, I think we're going probably to talk a bit more technical. So I think for people listening to us and for the people asking questions, I think you can just go to linky.com and check the properties, check the different things. All the white paper is very clear. We've been working with multiple firms around the world. The Everland Group is very visible in terms of the partner of LynKey and Crystal Holidays, but as well, like Miss Cindy said, there's all the groups worldwide. But I think what we're trying to do here is we start very recently. It's just 3 months old, this project. And we achieve, I think for all the team, congratulations for 60,000 downloads of the app. I know that there's things with the KIC because this has been going so fast that we've been right now trying to make sure that everything goes right. But we're going to fix all of this. Be patient because, of course, we need to work. Even Facebook and Google and Apple have issues sometimes with their technology, so we need to work on that. But we're working to make sure the scale is correct. And like Hilton and Jonathan said, we are working very diligently to make sure that all the regulatory part, all the areas of creating a utility ecosystem are really done properly. So I think probably, let me go for you, Jonathan, again. So one of the questions, Jonathan, just looking at your experience with hotels, and as well your experience with funding with big groups. You, of course, you work with JP Morgan and with Barclays. We touched about the challenge that the banks are facing, but let's forget the challenge of the banks because the banks will be there. They just will have to become blockchain banks, let's put it that way, or they will have to use technology. But I think from the perspective of the solution for the hotels and for the groups, how do you think we can actually scale and work these solutions in a way that is easy for a small hotel worldwide to come in here and for the user to work this, especially from your experience within building a small group? Because one thing is Everland, that is a big group with over 100 properties. The other thing is a small group like the one you're using with your family. And that is a great experience. And for people listening to us, I think we'll understand better the story.
Thank you, Dinis. I think the opportunity, if I look at, there's obviously the very large group, like the biggest hotel chain in the world is Marriott, obviously the giant of this world. For people who have, like me, a small hotel, family hotel and small units, I think the opportunity would be not to create a LynKey for each of those hotels. It doesn't make sense. but it's to create, if I look at LynKey as the US dollar, for example, is to create affiliation between all those independent entities with one of the major smart tourism token. And to be part of this club, to create this inter-exchange, if you want, is the value. The fact that with that token, you can go to most of the hotels in the world from a certain category, obviously. I think that's the opportunity. The fact that you create a global community, and the fact that this token enables me to go to an hotel in Tahiti, to go to an hotel in Hanoi, to go on a cruise ship in the Caribbean, to go and climb the mountains in Norway. This for me is freedom. And this is what the new generation is looking. And for example, my hotel, I'm going to be catering for the digital nomad. So if you're going to be targeting a target audience between 20 and 30 years old, if you don't have fast internet, forget it, because the one thing that they need is connectivity. So again, you need to be able to to create this ecosystem, and I think LynKey is very important. It's just one of the box to tick. But again, for all those independent hotels around the world, there's millions of them. How can you go for that volume, for that scale, and not just go for the 4 or 5 star, which by the way most likely belong to Hyatt, Marriott, Hilton, or Accor, one of the top 5 hotel groups in the world, or they will have their own domestic Relais Chateau equivalent. I think there's an opportunity to invite them to this global initiative project. Similar, Dinis, to what you have built with Open Business Council, citiesabc. It could be hotels ABC, for example. And LynKey would be the currency. Let's put it like that. It's more than a currency, but if we simplify, it could be the glue, the gel. So
and
so talking to a future hotelier, if you want, I can see the opportunity for independent hoteliers to participate to something much more global. And this benefits the consumer. It's like Airbnb. Think about it. How many hotel rooms do they own around the world? 0. And yet, market value of Airbnb, they have enough money to buy the top 3 biggest hotel groups in the world. Similar, they got huge success because they gave power to the independent private wannabe hotelier. If we adopt the same adoption, you play the same game. You give me as much power as Marriott, and yet I will own a little hotel with less than 12 rooms for the beginning. So that's my pragmatic answer to your question. As a future hotelier, this would be a clear benefit to my business, because then suddenly I give freedom to be part of a very large group, like Miss Cindy was saying, thousands of hotels across Southeast Asia and globally. They don't have one in the South Pacific. I want to be that one. So it's a win-win.
No, Kulpuri, I think this is going to be the main point. I think you touched scalability, and I think the scalability, if you look at any project, the internet became successful because of the scalability. And I think if you don't have the scalability, you don't do that. So I think for people listening to us, we're not a short-term project. This is a long-term project. We're conscious that there's a lot of work to be done. I think what Everland has been doing in Vietnam as one of the biggest groups of property and holidays, and as well all over the world, it's about continuity and creating a narrative. And I think the property speaks for themselves. And I think for people listening to us, we're not a small token that just comes here to do some pump and dump. We are looking for creating a solid business model that creates solutions for everyone. So Miss Cindy, in terms of the relationships with the different groups of hotels, I know that part of the strength of Crystal Holidays and Everland is that it has a lot of partners around the world. So can you tell us about these partnerships and how they can actually work with LynKey token, and for people listening to us, which is touching what Jonathan said before?
You know that Evelyn Group have a lot of international partner. We have the partner such as Winton, Centera, the very big one of tourism management, and Western also. Yeah, all brand, very big brands in the world, and we have a partner in the world. So you know that if we have the community, like Jonathan say that, Jonathan say that the customer can have the benefits, because if we have the network with the Windham, with Centra, with Best Western, we make the community very bigger, the bigger one, the network very big one. And you know that LynKey is also give benefit for B2B and B2C also. You see that it is the real project. As Mr. Dinis said that it is a long-term project. You can see that this is the real one. We add the real value in the project, the property. Today we plus some at least 5 projects, right? In the website, LynKey website, you can see that Crystal Holiday, Harbour Vandon, Crystal Holiday Heritage Resort, or Crystal Holiday Marina Phú Yên, etc. And we put more, some many projects in. It means that we put the real value to the project. So it's very long-term, stable one. Everything very big in the work. So I think that we will expand our market to the internationally. That we have a lot of contract. You have a lot of cooperation with the network, the big network internationally. For hotel network also, we can expand the hotel with the partner. Also, we sign the contract with the strategic partner in the world. You can share the room hotel. You can see that if you don't have any hotel, that means you will have the 1 million hotel in the world.
Completely. I think the strength of this project is this capacity to scalability, and as well the experience.
Yeah.
I mean, Cindy has a lot of experience on this, Crystal Holidays, and this is, I think, why I'm excited as well to be building this project together with all this team. So Hilton, I think we're going right now to go to the questions, but before going to the questions, so you've been right now working with me in a lot of solutions for Metaverse, and especially all this experience about expanding. You touched that. I think what I like about you said is the experience between the real and the virtual. So I think for people listening to us, I think especially the young people are already flexible with this because they had played some game or being involved on this. But I think let's go through the details, how this will work. I think that can be quite interesting for people listening to us as the last thing, and then we go to questions.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a very interesting topic. Is at the moment we know we are sitting here, we are already we've stepped into the metaverse. We're actually having a virtual conference live and an experience, and the technology is an enabler of that. Then you have these very immersive experiences that require you to have glasses, goggles, etc., etc. We've all seen the scenes of people walking around a room and running into a wall and crashing to the floor. These are a very immersive experience, but they are they are not pragmatic. I strongly believe, and I think Dinis and the team will understand, is that you don't want a whole society walking around with goggles on their heads to enjoy their holiday. They want to have an immersive experience that is interactive and that they have enabling technologies around them, like a mobile phone, that basically interacts between the physical world and the digital world and creates an enhanced experience. So that shift has already happened. You can already, with your mobile phone, put yourself into the metaverse, or have Lady Gaga singing to you on your mobile phone, and you've already scanned your drawing room, your room, this room behind me, and through your mobile phone, she is singing to you in your space. This technology is getting this. So there's this interaction between the real world and the virtual world. I think will be the growth of this space, rather than jumping headlong into full face masks and things like that. that's for the future. I mean, what we'll do is I'm speculating now. We will actually move from what I call device-led VR and AR to implanted VR and AR, where you don't need a device because it's interacting directly with your cortexes and your visual and your oral cortex, parts of your brain, so that is seamless and you can control that. But that has incredible ethical reasons and things like Meta and Facebook. This is the real challenge. I wrote about that in an article the other day. This is a real challenge because that's invasive procedure, and it's invasive on your self-sovereignty of your data and your experience. So my forecast going forward is that we need to build experiences between the digital world and the physical world that enhance and have absolute good utility for the user. That's basically, does that answer your question? I've rambled on a bit.
Yes, completely. So we have right now the first question. We go into the question. So thank you so much, Hilton. Thanks so much, Miss Cindy and Jonathan and Charlie and Michael that had to leave before. So we are very excited. Of course, the four of us are involved on this. Me, Miss Cindy, and Hilton more involved. Jonathan as an advisor, which we are very grateful. So I think we have the first question. Could you share your plans for the year 2022? Miss Cindy, do you want to answer this?
Hello?
Yeah, the question is, could you share the plans of LynKey for the year 2022? I can help you as well.
The plan of LynKey in 2022, I think that the first thing is we enlarge the community. We enlarge the community. Once again, we say that the community will get the benefits from LynKey project, but the long-term project. So we want to enlarge the community. We enlarge the community, and we bring the community the chance to join LynKey project. The chance is to have the utility token in the first utility token for tourism and property. That means you have the first asset to the property of our luxury project in our LynKey ecosystem. And the second thing we will to enlarge our share in the international markets. That we will finish some project in Vietnam, where luxury resort and hotel, and then we will go to the world such as Singapore, such as Australia. We have a new project internationally. And the third is you see that the LynKey token listed in some of the big exchange in the world. So we hope that it will be the utility token. You bring the community the benefits, the benefits, and the community can use LynKey token, LYNK token as a common currency to use within the ecosystem. So we will enlarge ecosystem, that we will enlarge our community. That is our short plan in 2022.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Miss Sandy. So the next one, what will team doing with the money from angel sale, private sale, pre-sale, and IDO? Hilton, do you want to answer to that one?
Absolutely. If you look at the white paper and also on our website, which is www.linkkey.com. So basically what we've done is we're going to be allocating a certain level of funds to the ecosystem and growing the ecosystem. So what we're going to be doing is 10% will be focused on actually getting us onto an exchange and exchanges going forward. We've built a significant amount of the technology already. We've got the app and we've got the web platform. So we're going to allocate around another 10% to building out that technology as we go forward. And in terms of marketing and business development, 15% of the money raised is going to be used on marketing and business development. We're going to keep back a reserve of about 15% of the tokens. And then, of course, a lot of the stuff that we've done in the beginning, which was legal and regulatory work, that's going to sort of be allocate about 20% of the tokens for that, of the money that's been raised in the tokens. Token sale and ongoing operations. And then, of course, there's 30% left, which is basically the investment pool, which was the reserve pool for the growth and expansion of the ecosystem as we actually bring new participants onto the platform. So that's all pre-IDO. And we expect we're targeting, look, I want to say something here. We've got a very tight timeline, and we've raised, a significant amount in our angel sale and private sale. And we've put in place the LynKey Foundation in Singapore. We've put in place the token issuing company in BVI, and we have the LynKey operating company in Singapore. So we're very Singapore centric because of Asia. We've put the governance structures in place. We've put the regulatory compliance structures in place. The key thing is we are doing this right, and it does take time to get it right. We're not going to rush it. I have another question.
Yeah, this is very important, and I think I want to highlight this. So the last one, do the token holders have the right to participate in governance of the project? What kind of decisions can they vote on about the project? So I think this is a very good question. I think probably it's for the three of us, but I would say that for now, the governance, of course, will be done by the management team that create the project. But like Miss Cindy said, the community will be super important for us, and the token holders even more. They will be part of this. I would say that they will be more participating in building the product and the solutions we're going to be creating. For instance, we would like to create NFTs with them. We would like to make sure that they help us creating some metaverse AR experiences. Then as we mature, because of course, as you can imagine, we have already a lot of people that download the app, but we need to make sure that we create a very important governance, both on the technology, on the regulatory part, and as well on the experiences that we're going to be building and in the marketplace. So I would say that the decision they can vote will be initially for products and for collateral solutions that you're going to be creating around the marketplace. And then going forward, once we have more maturity as technology players, as a financial platform as well, because of course there's money involved, there's a lot of things, we're going to be involving more and more the project in the governance. But you want to be very careful. You don't want to expect, we don't want to promise the world. It's not possible. This is a very, very important thing. Everland is a public group, okay? And they are our partner. Of course, LYNK is an independent project. It's not directly involved with Everland. It's separate, completely separated from Crystal Holiday. Like Miss Cindy, we're going to have partnerships around the world. We start with these 100 properties that we're tokenizing experiences. There's a lot of work to be done, like Hilton said. But the most important thing is to build a solid project and marketplace that actually can create solutions and building a community that understands this. And I think Miss Cindy has already a massive community in Vietnam, especially with Everland Experience and Crystal Holidays. We want to do this worldwide. I have as well my community that I'm bringing to the project. We're talking with a lot of very big people. Of course, Michael Terpin is here, Jonathan, a lot of other people that are going to announce. And as well, we need to work with the exchanges to make sure the token has liquidity and scalability. But there's a lot of work to be done. But please see this as a long-term project. I think this is not a meme project. It's not a short-term project. It's a long project that can actually be very useful for everyone involved on this.
Yeah.
So next question, Miss Cindy, if you can answer to this one. Which countries are targeting for market approach next year?
Which country, you mean?
For marketing for next year, for 2023.
For 2023.
Yeah, for next year.
the early in 2022. So I think that the country, I will say in the beginning that we will start in Vietnam and we will go to the world. So I think the second country will move to Singapore. Singapore is also the country located, our company located in Singapore. And Singapore, you know that it is in the financial center. So they will be open into all the idea. And you know that internet is the revolution, and LynKey also the revolution of internet, right? In the real world, right? So I think Singapore will welcome our project. And I think the marketing is better that we will locate in Singapore first.
Absolutely. Would not forget that we're going to be looking at, I mean, we already have incredible reach through Crystal Holidays, Wyndham Group. Wyndham Group gives us an incredible amount of reach into the US, Africa, and the world. But also, Dinis, I think you want to mention at least we are in discussions and trying to do this in Sri Lanka as well.
Yeah, there's a
Lanka.
lot of things.
Yeah.
We're going to be announcing a lot of very big things, but step by step. But a very important thing, Miss Cindy said this in the beginning, this is a project open to everyone in the world. So everyone right now that will be buying the token of LynKey can actually use the token. And this is the answer to the next question, the real utility of the token. So let's say you have an American Express credit card, you have your points. You can use it for limited things. If you have the LynKey token in your wallet, you can use the LynKey token to exchange for an hotel experience in Crystal Holidays on Neverland, initially in Vietnam. And like Miss Cindy said, Vietnam is wonderful. I can assure myself I'm a huge fan. And I think it's a beautiful country with a fantastic infrastructure. We're talking about some of the best resources. So our token will be working a bit like a reward system between the community that can be used to exchange in the LynKey.com marketplace that we're building on the app. And at the same time can be used for buying experience that Hilton mentioned before of NFTs, or even creating experience on a Metaverse. It might be a game, something like that. And of course, you can use it as well to exchange with other currencies that normally any token that we have. Of course, right now, our focus is, like Miss Cindy said, listing the token in as much exchanges as possible. And we are working a lot on that. There's an entire team working on the back for that, but we want to make sure that we have a solid project. So the utility is quite broader. You have that in the website, in the white paper, from experiences in the hotels, experience in the cruises, experiences in NFTs, in Metaverse. And at the same time, as the token become more mature, it can be as a way to work in B2B, business to business experience between different hotels. For instance, one of the things that is very difficult right now, like was mentioned before, is if I have my points of Shangri-La, my points of Hilton, my points of Marriott, and it's super difficult to just use these points. I never use these points in the end of the day. So I think with LynKey token, I can stay in 2 hotels of the group and just exchange the tokens. And I have points, rewards coming. So there's a lot of solutions here.
I mean, the LynKey token has intrinsic value, number one. And number two, it'll have a value through the community exchange mechanisms that are in place in terms of the demand and supply of the LynKey tokens within the community. So you have another question here. What is the most ambitious plan that is going to be undertaken this year?
From May.
Thank you.
Hilton, go ahead. You can answer this one. Or Miss Cindy.
Most ambitious plan is
No, I will talk about the plan of 2022.
Go, Miss Cindy.
No, I will forward 2022. Now, let's do this question for you, Dinis.
I would say the whole project I'll say the whole project is incredibly ambitious. And that's what we've done, is we've made sure that the foundations are right so that we can be ambitious. I would say the most ambitious thing that we will be doing in 2022 is listing, but listing on a very, very, very powerful exchange. Okay, yeah. It has a lot of credibility. That I think is our big ambition. We believe that we'll be able to achieve that, but also to be able to. Our ambition is to be able to provide real utility to the token holders as soon as possible. I think that's the most ambitious thing that we can do.
Yeah, I think the experiences that you're going to be creating around people being able to use the token to exchange experience in the Crystal Holidays and Everland properties, I think that is going to be the step one. The step two, I think we're going to come up with some really crazy in a good sense, Metaverse experiences. Miss Cindy and myself and Hilton are working, and all the team is sharing in experiences of augmented reality. We're going to have a VR event for the community that you're going to announce shortly. And I'm actually working a lot of technology for that. We have a lot of exciting things. And I think that's going to be quite exciting, because if you manage to create a VR, AR, or AR, I would say more AR experience around the property, that in itself becomes exciting, because I know that a lot of people cannot travel. I would love to be in Vietnam now. I cannot go because I will have to be staying as well. Like, for instance, Charlie, that was here on the call, is 5 weeks in quarantine in China. 5 weeks. Okay. So I'm lucky. I'm in London at the moment. It's 5 days. If you get the quarantine, but if you go to Vietnam, for instance, it's very difficult. So that means we need to wait until COVID gets, and hopefully, like Miss Cindy said, hopefully after Easter, things will be working. But we expect to show Metaverse experiences. When I say Metaverse, is kind of a game, and some digital 3D augmented experiences of some of the authors of the group. There's already some very beautiful videos, but you're going to be creating more.
And one thing for LynKey project, or to say that LynKey project approach to any customer, approach to any community member, because you know that everybody had a demand to traveling, right? Had a demand to pay for entertainment services and F&B services and everything for entertainment, everything very influence for their life. So I think that LynKey project is enrich all over the world, even small customer.
Yes, that's very important. Yeah, and I think this is where the relationship with the community is going to be critical. So another question from Crypto Watch Gav. So will you use other platform different from ECR20? So ECR20, of course, is being built for the utility token. For the NFTs, we are already working with Polygon Studios and Polygon, and we're going to be doing some experiences as well. We're talking as well with Solana. We want to be using the best at scalability. Of course, as you know, when it comes to NFTs, there's a lot of challenges right now on scalability on the gas fees. But definitely our NFTs, for the people listening to us, and I think there's some questions as well, are we going to be working on this? But DCR token is the foundation technology for the token, and we are working on that. We had, of course, the first audit to the smart contract. We work in a second one, and there will be a lot of things that you're going to put on the website. Of course, this is an ongoing process because the smart contract will be firstly for the token, but second, it has to reflect the business, and we're working on that. And then second, for all the NFTs, like I mentioned, Polygon and definitely Solana, we were talking and discussing some things. Actually, we're talking with people from Polygon and people from Solana. And I think the other parts they're going to be using in terms of technology is the idea of integrating NFTs to buy experiences within the marketplace platform of LynKey.com. And the idea is that people come to the platform or to the app, then they have the visualization of the experiences like they have in booking.com or holidays or hotels.com, and then actually can use. So definitely that's the idea here. And of course, as we get more hotels on board, besides the group Everland and Crystal and the other partners, we're going to be able to open and eventually list. One of the things we consider is eventually to list our own NFTs in other platforms. We are talking with citiesabc.com, we're talking with OpenSea. So there will be that people can actually buy our experiences in other platforms. And it will be a way of promoting as well all the experience of LynKey.
Yeah.
I don't know, any more questions from the team? So I see a couple of other questions, but I think we are right now wrapping up because we've been here for 1 hour and a half. So I want to thank you all. I think especially Miss Cindy, Hilton, and Michael Terpin, Charlie Hu, and Jonathan Gowen, that were with us during all this time. So Hilton, you are very convincing, and Miss Cindy. So there's a couple of people here. There's a lot of...
we are passionate.
Yeah, so thank you so much.
You get a reward for the couple of today.
Thank you so much
for our audience. Yeah, thank you for Mr. Dinis, Mr. Hinton, all of our team. And thank you for our audience to have time for our talk show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Cheers.
Thank you.
Very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
You all.
Yeah, thank
Cheers.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.